Hello everyone, we are the Group 5, and our topic is the impact of reporting burdens on the public-private firm decision. There are 5 people in our group. They are Yixuan, Tanisha, Xinyue, Yuhan, and Cindy. And my name is Xinyue Zhang. First, I will talk about the question 1. First of all, when a parent company controls multiple subsidiaries in different regardings or industries, it must consolidate the financial data of all entities into a set of the group financial statement. This involves coordinating the accounting policies, the financial year-end, and also the report format of the whole group. The larger the scales of a group and the more dispersed its geographical distribution, the more difficult to standardize the report, which leads to increased costs, delays, and risk of misreport. Second, a significant technical challenge is the need for the intergroup offset. These offsets are essential to remove the effect of intergroup transactions between entities, such as the sales, loss, and dividends, which may otherwise overstate the group's overall revenue or assets. Tracking these transactions will cost too much time, and this process will become increasingly complex as the number of the subsidiaries increase. Judgment and estimation is also really important and difficult in the consultative report. ASB10 require a parent company to assess whether it control over an entity before deciding to merge it. In complex ownership structures, the determination of control can be subjective. Any misjudgment can lead to regulatory penalties or adult problems, and the requirement to disclose this judgment and estimate its consolidated report added further burden. Also, if the subsidiary operates a different currency, it must convert its financial statement into the parent company's reporting currency. The currency fluctuation will cause large swings in entity or net income, which not only increases the technical complex, but also makes more difficult for the investors and analytics to interpret the financial performances. Therefore, especially for companies with multiple subsidiaries and multinational operatings, maintaining a parent structure is a choice to avoid the highly complex consolidated financial report.
Thanks, Sally. We will analyze question 2 in 4 parts. Next, I will talk about the content of SOX 404 and the complex group structure. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act was enacted in 2002 to bolster investor trust through the fortification of internal controls and the improvement of financial transparency. The SOX 404A mandates that public companies must implement effective internal financial controls, and the management is obligated to assess the design and the effectiveness of the operation of the controls annually. The SOX 404B states that the external auditors must provide an opinion to confirm its authenticity. The SOX 404C established that these requirements apply fully to companies with public shareholdings over $75 million. The substantial compliance burden on the SOX 404 has prompted many small firms to remain private rather than go public. Next, I will explain the complex group structure. Companies with intricate group agreements face much more significant obstacles. This structurally intricate cooperation possesses subsidiary across various nations and sectors. Each company possesses a distinct management team, accounting system, and the internal control mechanism. Various subsidiaries within an organization may implement divergent accounting systems and reporting in multiple currencies, thereby complicating the aggregation of consistent and reliable financial data for the entire entity. An exemplary example is my current group. The cooperation functions in more than 30 nations and overseas sectors like infrastructure, banking, and asset management. Each department faces distinct regulations and operational mandates, ensuring uniform internal controls across a wide, cross-industrial global organizations is highly intricate. Next, Tanisha will analyze the following section.
Firms with complex structures may experience financial challenges when implementing internal controls. Firstly, firms may face high compliance costs supported by companies spending $2 million or more in compliance with SOX regulations. This could prove to be a financial burden for multi-subsidiary corporations in terms of both budget and hours. Secondly, larger groups tend to accumulate costs. Companies with complex structures would have to pay more for the administration and testing of internal controls across their key subsidiaries. Following, complex structures with entities in international jurisdictions may involve a risk of operational inefficiencies, possibly due to inadequate remediation and non-disclosure of poor internal controls by managers. These firms may incur increased compliance costs, possibly due to foreign exchange rates. Lastly, financial burdens from compliance have the potential to lower the net market value of smaller firms. Therefore, companies with weak internal controls could generate negative stock returns, which could in turn reduce intragroup profits. Beyond the financial side, firms with complex structures may also experience strategic implications of internal control requirements. Companies may find strategic value in staying private due to high compliance costs, avoiding IPOs. However, Rajgopal's article highlights an opportunity cost of becoming public, such as increased capital access, liquidity, and talent attraction, which firms may forego in the process. Moreover, financial strain from SOX compliance may cause misallocation of resources towards strategic initiatives. Managers of companies will also be less likely to make risky investments due to the fear of penalties from non-compliance. This creates an opportunity cost of rejecting high returns from potential profitable investments. On the other hand, internal controls can help to enhance the transparency and accountability of the group by requiring them to provide accurate and reliable financial reports, boosting credibility. This further helps to reduce the risk of operational errors or fraudulent activities, thus increasing efficiency. Lastly, strong internal controls can increase investor confidence as it highlights an organization's commitment to being transparent and financially secure. This can in turn amplify investments and present intra-group opportunities for growth and expansion.
Public companies in Australia must adhere to strict financial reporting requirements under the Corporations Act 2001, AAS, and ASX listing rules. They must prepare general purpose financial statements which involve full consolidation of group entities in accordance with AASB 10, 3, and 112. This includes removing intra-group transactions, recognizing goodwill, disclosing NCIS, and accounting for deferred tax effects, which all lead to higher audit costs, more internal control views, and increased external oversight. Rajgopal highlights that firms may face compliance costs equal to 4.3% of their market capitalization due to heightened disclosure and audit requirements. For microcaps, this can be especially difficult, considering that in the US, audit fees for small public firms jumped by up to 167%. In contrast, PE-owned companies in Australia have notably fewer disclosure obligations, especially regarding consolidation, goodwill, and tax effects, since they are eligible to prepare special purpose financial statements or apply the Tier 2 reduced disclosure regime. Additionally, their consolidated financial statements are mostly for internal use and are not made available to external stakeholders. Together, these factors allow PE firms to avoid the cost, complexity, and legal exposure associated with full compliance reporting. For example, company MYOB remained public for only 4 years before it was acquired by private equity firm KKR. This gave MYOB more operational flexibility by delisting from the ASX and avoiding its disclosure requirements, improved access to capital and restructuring options as the KKR-funded acquisition was backed by its Asian fund and a $1.2 billion debt facility, and greater potential for growth acceleration, as KKR's support allowed MYOB to invest in more product development and expansion without public market constraints. Therefore, many companies now view PE ownership as a more attractive option than going public.
Now, I will answer question 4. Consolidated financial reports are useful for presenting the true economic position of the corporation because they eliminate intra-group sales, internal profit, and related party balance. I will explain what these risks are and why they are important. The first is the information asymmetry. When a company does not provide consolidated reports, investors face a serious information asymmetry. This means that they have no access to the true financial position of the groups, especially when asset or liability are hidden in the subsidiaries. So second is the risk of undisclosed intra-group transaction, like unrealized internal sales or liabilities, causing mismatch in reported earnings. The third one is the governance and control risk. The accounting slide team indicate private equity firm like ASX rules, board oversight and public scrutiny increasing risk of poor decision or conflicts. So the last risk is the valuation uncertainty. In terms of valuation, the lack of transparency make it impossible to appropriately evaluate the investments. So why are these risks important? Essentially, they generate uncertainty. Investors are being urged to commit funds without complete information. According to Rajgopal's articles, one of the reasons organizations are going private is increased regulatory bonding, which includes financial reporting. However, the responsibility is not lifted. Rather, it is shifted to the investors. To summarize, restricted, consolidated report may save company money in the short term, but raise investor risk and discourage long-term private investments. So this is end of our presentation. Thank you for listening. There is a reference list.